Welcome back to a Speed Addict's Garage. If you guys haven't been taking a peek at the news, unfortunately, the guys downtown, they done tore up another statue. And yeah, it's getting crazy out here in North Carolina. I mean, for real, it's getting a little bit hectic. On the side note, look at my wife's beautiful garden. Trying to add a little color to the front yard. Picked up these beautiful flowers from Lowe's. When we bought the house, we found this nice little radio flyer wagon. Tomorrow's Father's Day, so I did a little bit of yard work myself. Went ahead and set up the bird feeder. Got some food in there for the birds. Hopefully they'll come soon. Also installed one hummingbird feeder. Installed a second hummingbird feeder right there. So when you wash the dishes, you can daggone see the hummingbirds eat. But I know you guys didn't come to the channel to see some house stuff. So let me show you what we're gonna be working on today. On this episode of Speed Addict's Garage, we're gonna take these apart. Twin HKS super sequential blow-off valves. The reason we're gonna dismantle these and take these apart is because we want to powder coat these. We got an old style, then we got the newer style, but we want to powder coat both of these to match that third color that we mentioned to you before. How do y'all like that? Went ahead and powder coated a few components, some nuts, some hardware. Installed this NRG radiator cover plate. We got the Arc teal bolts with the illusion purple. And then we also went ahead and powder coated these as well. All right, fam. So to be honest with you, I ain't never done this before. But a lot of mechanics can tell you a lot of the stuff we do, we've never done before. We just know how to figure it out. So from looking at this, let me show you guys the tools that we're gonna need. We're gonna need a 5.5 socket. We're gonna need a 2.5 Allen. I got a pair of needle nose just in case I need them. And then I'm gonna use my trusty Milwaukee because I use my hands every day and I wanna give the puppies a break. So let's go ahead and get started taking this stuff apart. Might I add, that daggone turbo boy is looking good. All right, I got all of my hardware taken out on the front side of this HKS blow-off valve. It appears that it basically holds this front cone or this front nose together. You got this nice little orange, look like it's a heavy duty type of rubber material. And then it's also got this piece right here. With everything taken apart, that's what it looks like. You got this section, you got that with the tabs on it. And then like I said, you got this here. Actually looking at this, it looks like it's coated in rubber, but just feeling it, it's almost got like a metal insert. And then this is what the body looked like. Looks kind of interesting. You got the HKS super sequential piece right here. That looks like that comes out, or maybe not. Actually, I'm gonna leave that in there. So next, I'm gonna go ahead and start taking these bolts loose. All right, I kind of figured this, but there is a spring inside. So right before you get to the last bolt, make sure you compress that and then remove the last bolt. We're gonna slowly open this up, and wow, this thing looks almost like the internal wastegate. So you got the spring here. It looks like they use some kind of epoxy glue to secure this. And it looks like I need to figure out how to separate all this. Let's see, maybe this comes off. All right, let me cut you back on. I got to figure this out. All right, so it looks like this nut here comes off. It is a 21 millimeter. I got it on my 1/2 inch ratchet. And if you look inside of there, you can see how this thing works. You got that plunger action. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing it all the way up, which is expose that middle section. And then I'm holding that section lightly. Well, not lightly, but I'm holding it with a pair of needle nose pliers. I've already broke the nut loose. It didn't take much force. And there you have it. It looks like this backing plate that, or I'm gonna call it a seat that holds this spring, or kind of centers that spring with this diaphragm. I'm assuming that it will come off. So I'm kind of pulling on it and turning it in a counterclockwise direction. There's a lock washer on this back side here. So I'm gonna make sure that when I set this aside, I like to try to put everything back the way it was. So I'm gonna set the spring on it like so, set it off to the side, and then it looks like the shaft and this front portion just slides right on out. So again, there's also a lock washer. So when you put it all back together, the lock washer is gonna go on this side of the thread, but it's gonna be on the base of this seat with the diaphragm on it. So I'm gonna put that on there and set it off to the side. And this is what the body looks like. We're gonna powder coat, or first we're gonna sandblast and powder coat this section. And then we're also gonna do the same thing with this section. Can't forget the backing plate either. Can't forget that. So now that we got the newer style HKS blow-off valve torn apart, now we're gonna tear into this older style. I got the front cone off this older style HKS blow-off valve, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time separating this rubber piece. This section right here was moving like it was freed up. This is kind of like, almost like it's bound up a little bit. So I'm having a little trouble. I ended up taking the flathead, sitting it like this on this little lip right here, and kind of end up doing that motion, using this table to help lodge it free. Dang, boy, this is an example of how stuff used to be made back in the 90s, boy. Stuff used to be made good, because I mean, all these little screws feel like they had Loctite on them. Daggone, that rubber seal was wedged in there, and now I can't even separate this joker. Hold on, I'll be right back. Hey, see, sometimes hammers are needed. Let's take this apart. Separate this rubber seal. There we go. So the insides or the guts on the back of this looks just like the new style, but the one difference between the two is you got a cup on this back side, and as you can tell, this one here has a threaded bolt on the back, meaning that you can adjust that. You can adjust that sound.
Dang, my sound effects sound pretty good.
But for the most part, I mean, it looks right about the same. So let me finish taking this piece out, and then we'll be ready to sandblast it. And again, I'm assuming it's because it's old, but me holding that purple shaft down in there with these needle nose pliers and trying to loosen up that 21mm nut, it ain't working. So I'm gonna try this approach. It's a pair of needle nose vice grips. So let's see if that'll work. There you go. So the vice grips kind of kind of dug into that a little bit. I don't like that. So let me show you what I'm gonna do to clean that up, because anytime you got a piston or a valve or anything of some sort that rides on the surface like that, get your mind out the gutter. That section need to be smooth. There you go. I put that brass wire wheel on there, clean it up pretty good. And when that goes back in there, you're not gonna see none of that. So let's go ahead and sandblast this, and then we'll make it happen. All right, speed addicts, we got all of our components sandblasted, cleaned up with Dawn dish detergent. Now we are ready to apply the powder coat. The color that we chose, if you haven't already, check my Facebook link or our Speed Addicts page. Check that out. I'll put that below. It's also the end of the video. I've also shot the color at the beginning of the video, but in case you missed it, we are using Illusion Purple. Okay, so the Illusion Purple is a two-part process. You got to put what I would consider a base coat on, which actually looks white. Actually, I'll take that back. It looks like a light purple, and then you have to cover it up with what they call a clear, and then the clear is what brings that purple out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything situated, and we're gonna go ahead and put the first coat on these components. All right, guys, let's check out what this Illusion Purple looked like on the first coat. Wow, look at that. It looked like a light purple, almost like a purple with a hint of chrome. And like I mentioned before, that is the first coat. The second coat is what they call the clear. It's like vision clear. And when we powder coat that on there, I will show you the final results. Look at that. Wow, that twin purple. We don't have the hardware to install that onto the intercooler pipe, but as you've seen, both blow-off valves are done. So that's gonna do it for this episode. On the next episode, we got some more parts to install on the Supra. So don't go too far, stick around, subscribe, hit the like button, and we will check you later at Speed Addicts Garage.